Hi, I'm AC.
And I'm his sister, Libby.
The cheesy set behind us can only mean one thing. That's right, it's the start of the 2011 Halloween season.
We're here to review haunted houses, horror movies, horror music, and other Halloween events.
Stay tuned, we've got a great episode of the Halloween Freak Show. Now let's get into the meat of this now with the actual haunted house reviews. There's 5 different attractions, and we're going to break it down attraction by attraction. The first attraction we went through was the 2011 Niles Haunted House itself. The Niles Haunted House supposedly has 100 different paths, over 100 different paths I believe it said, through the haunted house. This is my second year in a row going to Niles on its opening weekend.
My first.
Her first. And the thing that we found out the most about it, at least I found out the most about it, is in 2 years' time, they do a lot of changing in the off-season, as any haunted house does. But in the second year that I've gone, it was the same path that I ended up taking last year with my brother. It starts out with what's supposed to be a Harry Potter-themed horror section called Scary Potter. You walk through a garden and into the first part of the haunted house before you get split up upon your path. And there's some decent Harry Potter paintings if you're into that kind of thing. I personally am not, again. Not my cup of tea. But some decent stuff there, and they try to throw in a few different characters here and there for the Harry Potter thing. Then they divided us into a hall, where they said it was an electrical room and we needed to wait there. There were some surprises from the ceiling. And then from there I proceeded to go on the path that I took last year, where there was a movie theater room, a spinning walkway room, things such as that. It's pretty typical horror fare. The thing that I've really noticed that they've ramped up since last year was the noise-induced startles. Where they bang something loud on something else to get a startle out of you. Which, it's good that there was more startles. However, I'm not so keen on the noise-induced startles, because after a while it really tends to get annoying, especially since most of it was metal clanging on metal. After a while it just gets annoying and gives you a headache.
Yeah.
So, Libby, your take on the Niles Haunted House.
I liked it. It was pretty cool. It was funny to watch him run into walls all the time, because, you know, he doesn't put his hands out to feel when it's dark. A few things scared him. I was too busy laughing at him, so it didn't really bug me.
She still jumped.
Maybe once or twice. But it was pretty cool. I liked it.
So that was the Niles Haunted House. For me, seeing it a second year in a row, I can comment on what they've changed and what they haven't changed. Again, I don't see this attraction as having changed very much from last year. I did notice a few things, but it wasn't a great change to really get my blood flowing a whole lot. The next attraction we went to at Niles was called Carnival, which was, of course, a clown-themed attraction. Upon entering Carnival, of course, there's the evil calliope music playing and various clowns. Again, I went through last year when this particular attraction was called Zach's Zombie Motel, I believe it was called. I don't want to get that wrong. But it seems to me that a lot of what they did was just change the sets and reskinned the figures that were in Zach's Zombie Motel with new clown masks. It was, again, very, very short. I believe it was only 5 to 7 minutes long in its entirety, which to me, if you're going to only have a 5 to 7 minute long haunted house, it's not really worth it, especially for what you're charging people to get into it. Libby, your take on the Carnival?
I don't really like clowns, but it wasn't scary, so it was no big deal.
Yeah. After that, we immediately turned around and went back into the back half of that building, which is called Underworld Unleashed. I thought it was going to be a decent type of, maybe hell type attraction. Last year it was a pirate-based attraction. I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me. But we went through, and while it had some cool things in it, it definitely had some cool things, I did not understand why it would be called Underworld Unleashed, and then all of a sudden you run into an insane asylum in it, which kind of really didn't do it to me. I'm personally a fan of another local haunted house, which we'll get to later in the season, so you've got to stay tuned for the review for that one. But I believe that a lot of that might have been lifted from them. I know haunted houses borrow from other haunted houses, but it just seems like they were trying to lift certain ideas from them, and that I think was one of them. So I wasn't real impressed. Again, another 5 to 7 minute haunted house, too short, not enough scares, and again with the noise startles. It's just, that's not the feeling you want when you go into a haunted house. Libby, Underworld Unleashed.
Underworld Unleashed. The beginning, the insane asylum part, the effect on the banging on the door was pretty cool. He got the actor to laugh his butt off by saying that the girl was hot.
She kind of was.
And then she popped out at the other door, out of the other door. The rest of it was kind of boring, in my opinion.
Yeah. Again, too short was the biggest complaint there. And,
no offense.
Yeah. After Underworld Unleashed, we went on the Dark Territory hayride. I'm going to go on a rant here before I talk about the hayride. If you're going to be a haunted attraction and you want to play Halloween-type music, that's great. I have no problem with that. But when you're standing in line waiting to go on a hayride and you start hearing the Glee version of the Time Warp from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and the little kids behind you are going, "Yay, no Glee, it's the best thing ever, ha ha ha," you want to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing good about Glee. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. If you're going to do a haunted house and you want to play music, fine. Do not play anything from Glee, because it sucks.
Play the original music.
Anyway, that was my rant for today. I'm sure you'll see plenty more of those.
Probably.
Got on the Dark Territory hayride. I am a bigger guy. I don't know if you can tell. I'm a fatty. And they stuck me on the top row on a bench about this big. And I'm also tall, which doesn't help. So my head was hanging about 1.5 feet over the back of the hayride cart. The theme this year for the hayride was called Dead Time Stories. And they told basically twisted versions of fairy tales. Again, I had been through it last year, and it seemed like it was another complete reskinning without really rethinking anything. Some of the stuff was very poorly lit that you couldn't even see. There were some cool things out there. There was a tribute to Little Shop of Horrors, which was kind of cool. And some of the projectiles were cool. But there were also a lot of things that didn't have any bearing on it. Just random figures attached to trees. For some reason, a kid dressed as Gene Simmons in the middle of it. Not sure what was going on there. It just seems like maybe they didn't want to take the time to really redo it. I believe it's all staffed by volunteers, for their, in their defense. So there's not a lot of time. But that was my take on the hayride. The other problem I had, being a big guy with my head sticking over, I can understand having trees brush against the back of your neck for a scare factor, but when the branches are so long they're whipping the person in the face, not really a good idea. I didn't personally get injured, but I was pretty pissed by the time we got through that. So I'll let Libby take it away here.
It was kind of boring in my opinion. Like he said, the Little Shop of Horrors tribute was pretty cool. They had this tractor thing follow us for a little bit. It kind of looked a little creepy. The Gene Simmons kid, why? Again, the trees hitting people in the face. One of them hit the girl next to me and she grabbed my hand and it was really awkward.
Yeah. Anyway, the final attraction we went to at Niles was the Field of Screams with the Maniac Maze. It's a collection of different types of mazes. You've got your standard plywood maze going through, again with some loud startles through it. Again, not a big fan of the loud startles. It's just annoying after a while, especially if that's all you've got. There were also a white maze using white sheets and just a bright white light. There was a camouflage maze, a claustrophobia room, a chain link maze with strobe light, which is actually a lot harder than you would think, but not too hard. Complete dark maze, and just a few other good mazes all mixed together into one attraction. In my opinion, It's not very scary, but it's still the best attraction they've got. It's their strongest suit, in my opinion. Libby?
Yeah, the mazes was pretty fun. At the beginning, it's easy to get lost and turned around and everything. The chain link fence maze with the strobe lights kind of makes you feel like you're drunk and walking super slow. But I got out of there. And then, what was the last part of the maze by the corn shooter?
Oh, it was just a regular plywood and carpet maze. Had some curtains made of carpet.
I got us to where they shoot the corn cobs at you.
Yeah, that is another cool part of that maze. On the midway, you can buy a token to load a gigantic shotgun-looking thing with a corn cob, and you can shoot it at a plexiglass window as people are walking through the maze. And if they're not paying attention, of course, startle them. The lady that was shooting at me did a very bad job, but it was still kind of fun. She tried. All in all, the Niles Haunted House and Scream Park, they do a very, very good job of building up advertising and hype. I believe the guy's name that does that is Aaron Smith. I could be wrong. He plays Death on the Midway. I know that much. But he's very good at what he does with his marketing. But again, it's a lot of hype. What I think they could do better, I'm not one to complain without offering a suggestion. I think they should combine the Niles Haunted House with the two smaller haunted houses, Carnival and Underworld Unleashed. Get rid of the multiple paths and stuff of that nature, and try for one gigantic attraction. Also, there's enough room, it goes high enough, where maybe make a second floor, build on a second floor, which I know can be done because I've seen it in other haunted houses. Add a few things. Go for a world record, making it the world's largest haunted house, which I believe is currently held by Erebus in Pontiac, Michigan. So it's right in their backyard. They could easily go for that record, I think, by expanding those, using the two separate buildings, the Niles Haunted House and the building that houses both Carnival and Underworld Unleashed, and the outside land that separates them and in front of the Niles Haunted House. There's a lot of land out there, and I think they could do a great job by combining everything. And then I know it makes money for a charity is the purpose of the haunted house, so I have no problem going out and supporting it yearly, and I think you guys should all go out and support it too, especially for the charity thing. Plus, if we don't support it, it's going to be another haunted house down the tubes, which is a sad, sad thing in this economy. Yeah. So go out and support it. I'm going to give it a 2.5 stars out of 5-star rating. That's my rating for this one. It could be better, but it also could be a lot worse. I've seen a lot worse. Libby, give your summary.
It was fun. I enjoyed myself.
So hey, one more thing before we go for this week. If you own or run a haunted house and you'd like us to review it, or you want to see us review a certain horror movie, or a horror-themed CD, or even a Halloween-themed event in your area, contact us, HalloweenFreakshow@gmail.com, and we'll see what we can do.
But keep in mind, we're based in Indiana, so we're kind of limited on how far we can go for stuff like that. So if you're in Indiana or any of the surrounding states, hit us up.
New vlog is going to be out every Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. Next week, we're going to be doing some movie reviews to get the Halloween season kicked off right. We've already done a haunted house review. Next week, we'll review some movies and possibly some music. Maybe even have a special guest. Who knows? And then October 2nd will be a nice review for those of you who live in the northern Indiana area. We are going to try in one night pull off a hat trick. I don't know if a hat trick is the proper term because I'm not a hockey fan. But we're going to hit the Haunted Cave in Fort Wayne, Indiana, the Haunted Castle in Black Forest in Fort Wayne, Indiana, the Haunted Jail in Columbia City, Indiana, and Soul Takers Acres in Warsaw, Indiana. So we're going to be out doing that on October 1st. If any of you would even like to come along with us on our journey, email us, HalloweenFreakshow@gmail.com. Until then, see you next time on another episode of Halloween Freak Show.